The night the eviction notice fluttered against the front door like a cruel white flag of surrender, Haris Kadri stood frozen in the pale morning sunlight, his 5-year-old son still asleep inside, unaware that their world was tilting on its axis. The paper trembled in his rough hands as if it too felt ashamed. 3 months behind on rent. Final warning, vacate within 30 days. The sun was rising over the quiet neighborhood, golden and indifferent, as if nothing catastrophic had just happened. Haris pressed his forehead against the cool wood of the door and inhaled slowly, forcing himself not to break. He had promised his son that no matter what happened after his wife's passing, they would always have a home. And now that promise felt dangerously fragile. Before we step further into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when we least expect them, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Whisper Tales 3 to keep these stories alive. Haris was 36, with tired eyes that carried years of sleepless nights and unspoken grief. Since losing his wife to a sudden illness 2 years earlier, he had been mother and father to little Rayhan, whose laughter was the only light in their modest 2-bedroom house. Haris worked long shifts as a mechanic in a small roadside workshop. The pay was barely enough, and when business slowed, so did the money. Medical bills had swallowed their savings long ago. Pride kept him from asking for help. Love kept him going. That morning, as sunlight filtered through thin curtains and dust floated like suspended memories, Haris made a decision that hurt his pride but protected his son. He would rent out their spare room. It was small, with a narrow bed, a wooden desk scarred with old scratches, and a window that overlooked a neem tree in the yard. It wasn't luxury, but it was honest. He cleaned the room himself, scrubbing the floor until his knuckles reddened, polishing the window glass and placing a small vase with fresh marigolds on the desk. He posted a simple notice online and on a board outside a nearby college, room for rent. Affordable, safe home, no nonsense. By midday, the house felt strangely exposed, as if opening the door to strangers meant opening the fragile world he had built for Rayhan. Several people came and left, some haggling over price, others clearly uncomfortable with a child in the house. Haris almost lost hope when, in the soft warmth of late afternoon, a young woman appeared at the gate. Her name was Aina Zahur. She wore simple jeans, a pale blue kurta, and carried a worn backpack. Her hair was tied loosely, strands catching the sunlight like threads of silk. There was something calm in her eyes, something observant. She looked at the house not with judgment but with quiet curiosity. Haris explained the rules carefully, his voice firm but respectful. No late-night parties, no trouble, rent on time, respect the home. Aina nodded, listening intently, as if each word mattered. She didn't try to bargain, she didn't hesitate. She simply said she needed a quiet place to focus on her studies and that she could move in the next morning. From the first day, Aina blended into their lives like gentle daylight. She woke early, often before Haris left for work, and brewed tea for everyone. She helped Rayhan with his alphabet homework at the small dining table, her laughter echoing softly through the house. She paid her rent in cash, neatly folded, always on time. She never complained about the old fan that rattled in the afternoons or the occasional power outage that left the house glowing in candlelight. Haris remained cautious at first. Trust did not come easily after life had taken so much from him, but he could not ignore the way Rayhan's face lit up when Aina returned from college, waving her books dramatically as if she had conquered the world. The house felt warmer, fuller. The silence that once echoed painfully in the evenings was replaced with the gentle hum of shared meals and small conversations. Yet Aina carried her own storms behind her calm demeanor. Sometimes Haris noticed her staring at her phone, her expression shadowed. Sometimes expensive cars would slow down near the house, then drive away. Once he saw a black SUV parked at the end of the street for nearly an hour before disappearing. He dismissed it as coincidence. Their neighborhood was modest. Important people had no reason to be there. One scorching afternoon, while Haris worked under the hood of a customer's car, his phone buzzed repeatedly. It was the landlord. Haris stepped aside, wiping grease from his hands, dread pooling in his stomach. The landlord was done waiting. If the overdue rent wasn't paid in full within a week, he would lock them out. Harris felt the ground slip beneath him. He calculated desperately. Even with Ina's rent, it wouldn't be enough in time. That evening he tried to hide his distress, but children notice everything. Rayhan asked why Abu's smile looked broken. Harris forced a laugh and said adults just get tired. Ina watched quietly from the kitchen doorway, understanding far more than he realized. The next morning, as sunlight streamed boldly through the windows, Ina asked Harris to sit down. Her hands trembled slightly, not with fear, but with the weight of truth. She explained that she had not been entirely honest about who she was. Her father, Farid Zahur, owned one of the largest construction companies in the country. He was a billionaire whose name appeared in business magazines and on billboards. She had grown up in a mansion surrounded by staff and luxury. But she had left because she wanted to prove to herself that she could live independently, that she was more than her father's wealth. She wanted to study architecture on her own merit, to understand how ordinary families lived, struggled, and dreamed. Harris stared at her, disbelief flickering across his face. The girl who washed dishes beside him and helped his son tie his shoelaces was a billionaire's daughter. It felt absurd. But Ina's eyes were sincere, almost pleading. She said she had learned more about strength and dignity in this small house than she ever had in marble halls. Then she placed an envelope on the table. It contained enough money to clear his debts and secure the house for a year. Harris pushed it back immediately, pride igniting. He said he could not accept charity. His voice cracked, not with anger but with wounded self-respect. Ina did not argue. Instead, she explained that it was not charity, it was partnership. She wanted to invest in something meaningful, and this home had shown her what real foundations looked like. She asked him to consider it as a loan, to be repaid slowly if it made him feel better. She told him she believed in his strength, in the way he raised his son with unwavering love. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Outside, children's laughter drifted through the open window. Horace looked at Rayhan, who was drawing a picture of their small house under a bright sun. In that drawing, the house stood tall and safe. Horace realized that sometimes accepting help was not weakness but courage. He accepted. Weeks later, the landlord's threats faded. Repairs were made to the house. The rattling fan was replaced. Rayhan started attending a better school, his backpack no longer patched and worn. Horace worked harder than ever, determined to repay the trust placed in him. And Ina continued her studies, often sketching designs inspired by the simplicity of their neighborhood. The day her father finally arrived was bright and clear. The black SUV returned, but this time it stopped at the gate. Farid Zahur stepped out, a powerful man in an expensive suit, yet strangely humbled. He had searched for his daughter for months. When he saw the modest house where she had chosen to live, something shifted in his expression. He saw not poverty, but dignity. He saw his daughter smiling in a way she never had before. He thanked Harris, not with arrogance, but with genuine gratitude. He admitted that wealth had given him everything except understanding. His daughter had found that here. Ina eventually returned home, but she did not leave their lives. She ensured Harris's workshop received a contract to service vehicles for her father's company. Not as pity, but because she believed in his skill. The business flourished. Harris repaid every rupee of the loan, though Ina had long stopped keeping track. Years later, on a radiant morning filled with birdsong, Harris stood outside a newly renovated community center designed by a young architect named Ina Zahur. The building was dedicated to single parents striving for stability. As he watched children run across the courtyard, he realized that the day he rented out a small room in desperation had become the day destiny quietly rewrote their story. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Whisper Tales 3 so more people can believe in the power of compassion. And before you go, I have one special request. Comment the word hope below if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever. 'Cause sometimes in the bright honesty of daytime, when everything seems exposed and fragile, that is exactly when miracles choose to arrive.